Welcome back to painting at the Barter Art House. My name is Matt Barter. Today we're going to try to finish this painting we started a couple weeks ago. We started out with a sketch of Katahdin, and we're going to try to finish this painting today. I've got my assistant today, so hopefully the filming will be better. We're going to build some of this richness in the red. We're going to reestablish some of these black lines. We're going to maybe bring some white down through this to balance out this white, and adds a few branches. There's not a lot left to do here, so we're gonna start getting this painting finished. If you start to look, you can start to see how we started out. You can start to see, look through the layers of the painting to see this was the beginning layer. We started out with that gray color. Moving up through the layers, you're gonna start to see that richness building up. So if you stand over here, you can see my palette is all set up. We're going to start by reestablishing our black lines, and I'm going to use phthalo green and alizarin crimson and a little bit of burnt umber to create a nice rich black. So let me get some more medium here, which my medium is turpentine, varnish, and linseed oil blended together. That helps the paint to really be loose and easy to flow out. So I'm going to come up here, and when I'm doing my lines, I don't like to come in like this. I like to come across like this. I got my brush here pretty close to there. What this does is just kind of reestablishes the black you've already got on there. And then you'll be surprised. You'll think that that's nice and black, but then when you go in with another layer, you'll see, oh, I could have gotten even darker. So we want to make sure we got the ultimate black here. Like that. We're going to probably come across here as well. Let's see. Yeah, I think we're going to just come across here, starting here. Just like that. And then since we've got the black out, let's finish up these trees and give them some branches. Remember last week we added those in? I'm just taking my brush and I'm just pushing hard with it up and out to create those really nice branch. Give that feeling of branchiness. And then we're going to just finish up this. What I've found is that if you add the branches too early, then it's really hard to blend it, get those nice blending in parts back in there. But if you go over it now, you can kind of finish it as you go there. Okay, so then let's do a little work around this dead tree here. We're gonna kind of outline it a little bit. And then define that. Maybe just do the bottom part of those branches just to give it a little definition, but a little bit of shadow too. And then this part of the tree is going to be going down like this. Sometimes I'll even add the ringlets of the tree. You know, when you cut off the tree, it's got the rings of the tree, just like that. And then we're gonna just do this across here. And bring this over here. Filling in this, just kind of reestablishing the black that we've already got on there. Now that we've got that done, let's move along and let's do the white next, I think. That might be a good thing to do next. So I'm just gonna grab some white here. I'm gonna probably start out with some pretty much pure white. Got a couple of bristles that I don't like. Do you see those bristles there? So I'm gonna go probably grab my scissors and try to get rid of those bristles. So just give me 1 second. If you don't do that, then they can make a huge mess. There we go. Don't be afraid to modify your brushes to whatever you need. Okay, I'm gonna come back through here now. So the white, we're gonna just add one more layer of white along here just to really define that white. I feel like there's some thinner in there. I'm gonna come through here. Okay, so sometimes when you're cleaning your brushes, you think you got them cleaned out, but then they're not quite clean. And then you get a bunch of thinner in your paint and it kind of messes you up. So you just to make sure you get those all pretty well dried out. I'm just gonna put another layer of white on here and just kind of move it around a little bit. And this part is kind of like just what you want, how you want to finish your piece. You don't want to get crazy and start changing stuff at this point in your painting. You want to kind of have an idea of how you want it to finish out. For me, I like that crisp white against that black sometimes. Kind of like when a mountain just has a little bit of snow on it. Now we're going to bring it down here and we're going to add a little bit of white to this stump right across here. I've found that if you're using pure white in some areas, you need to kind of put it in another area to balance out that pure white. I'm already, see all this texture, so I'm just going to kind of play with that texture that we've already got there. I need to grab a smaller brush just to do these, get some white on these branches here. Yeah, that looks pretty, that's what we want to do. Just to kind of give them a little extra pop there, like that. I'll do these bottom ones too, why not? All right, that's looking pretty good. Kind of like when the light hits an old driftwood log or an old dried out tree. Anyway, so that's looking pretty good. Now, I'm gonna add some white through here because I might just go in like blend it out later. But I'm just gonna kind of dry brush some white because I've already got it on my brush here. And I don't know why, I just want to do that. Okay, that's looking good. I'm happy with that. And then just a little bit more white there. You can kind of hear the bristles scratching against that texture. That's because we're using a panel. You can really push down hard. You can start building your textures on a panel easier than I think on a canvas, but that's just me. I'm just gonna touch up those lines there. Just like that. That's feeling good to me. Now, next we're gonna come in here with some really nice red. And I'm probably just gonna make up my own red by mixing, let's mix some Indian red with some alizarin crimson. We're gonna come up with a really rich color red that we're gonna really enjoy. So you can see these colors. I don't use a lot of color, but when I do, I like to go with earth tones and different things like that. So this is my Indian red, this is my alizarin crimson. It's gonna kind of load up with some Indian red here. Grab some medium, a little bit. And then I'm gonna come in here and just kind of make that really nice and rich. It's one of my two favorite reds, with the alizarin crimson and the Indian red. All right, a little more medium. Load that brush right up. Let's go to the panel now. And do you see how we've got this pretty close to the color we've already got here? But I'm just gonna widen this red a little bit because we've got this nice area here, but I kind of want to add some more red here. And we established that black line, remember? So I'm just going to be careful to kind of not get into it too much. Just tapping my brush into there and then kind of dry brushing it down, not to. And then I'm going to grab some more of it here. Indian red, alizarin crimson. And we're just going to fill that in a little bit more along this line here. drip into that black line that we made. I like to push my brush this way for some reason, just to kind of, I don't know why, it's just kind of fun to do that. All right, that's that. Now, just gonna add some yellow to this lower section here. So I'm gonna take this, I've got some Indian red here, which is nice, rich. See how rich that is? I'm gonna grab some medium. We're just gonna add some highlights with this yellow here. Let's do that. Right around, let's bring this over here. We're just gonna kind of do this. I didn't really clean that brush out enough, but we're just gonna run with it. By pushing my bristles up, I'm just kind of like putting some paint on there, but a lot of it is the texture of the bristles. I'm gonna grab some more Indian red here. I'm just gonna kind of create that grass effect that you see in the fall time when the grass is kind of dry out. I kind of messed up my black line here, so I'm just gonna carefully fix that. Recently I had to start wearing glasses, so sometimes it can be tricky when you start wearing glasses to get your depth perception. So that's looking good. Let's step back and take a look at it for a second to see how we like it. I like it pretty well. Now, what I might do is take and just kind of blend this in. So I might make up a little bit of gray or maybe some rose gray just to blend that in one last time. I'm gonna leave this area alone. I don't want to get into there. And some areas are starting to get finished. Like I think the sky is good. The mountain looks pretty good. So let's make up a rose gray here. I'm gonna get some glitter on these brushes. So to do that, let's grab that red. We've already established that Indian red, maybe a little raw sienna, a little medium. And then we're gonna grab some of that white. Maybe a little burnt umber just to make it a little bit more, less red and more of a gray kind of. Let's do that. Usually I take the time to beat the thinner out of my brushes, but apparently I didn't do it enough today because you can kind of see it's a little loose, but I don't mind it loose. With that, I'm just going to kind of blend into the red we've got up here, kind of bring it down a little bit into that tree line that we've been playing with here. Remember how we added this white? That's going to be good because we can kind of blend a little bit into that white. We've got our yellow here. Gonna blend into that yellow a little bit. Like that. And I'm happy with this so far. I think we're getting really close to being done. At this point, you don't want to really, if you back up Ollie for 1 second, you can see the whole piece. You don't really want to get too crazy at this point, or else you're going to end up making a mess. I'm wondering if I could play with the sky just a little bit, maybe. At this point, you just have to start making decisions as far as what you're happy with and what you're not happy with. And so if you see something you want to improve, just jump at it, you know. That's just me getting some of the thinner out of my brush here. So I'm going to grab 2 brushes. This one I'm gonna mess with that, make that a little darker along that line there. To do that, let's grab some of the phthalo blue here and some of this nice burnt umber. When you mix those 2 colors, it really takes this phthalo blue, which is very intense, and it just knocks it back a little bit. So we're gonna grab that. We've got our brush filled here, and we're gonna just kind of really make the bottom of that really intense along there. You can hear the bristles kind of just scratching along that line. I might just turn my brush the other way just to kind of soften that line a little bit along here. Kind of hard when my lighting is making a shadow, but it'll be all right. You know, when you're in the mountains and you get those intense clouds that just somehow appear and you wonder if it's gonna storm. So we're gonna just run this out. Not using a lot of paint here. When you're getting towards the end of your piece, you'll notice that the paint builds really easy. It's because you've got all those layers already on there. So you don't need a lot of paint to make a big impact. Okay, so that's looking good. Now I'm gonna take this blue that we've already kind of made, and I'm just gonna, the blue with the brown, and then I'll show you why I like to take my phthalo blue and run it out with burnt umber, because I'm gonna grab some medium, and then when I jump into the white, do you see that gray that it creates? It's a really pretty, rich blue gray. I might go a little more blue. A little less burnt umber, a little more blue for this final phase of this. Now I'm going to fill my brush up really good. And I might not even mix it too good, so it's a little bit muddied. All right, let's go back. Now let's see how your brush is going to look at that point. And let's go in here and just see what happens when we, see how flat my brush is? Just keeping it really flat along that line. And that's just this pretty, almost like a teal blue color. I'm just gonna run it along there. Let's get some more white. Really get some paint in there. And that's just phthalo blue, burnt umber, and white. I'll get that brush ready. Let's go back up into here. We're just gonna kind of keep going along that edge until we feel like it works the way we want it to. And then the cool thing about a sky is that if you can imagine it, it's pretty much happened. So you can do whatever you want with the sky. Like I'm using very little paint at this point, mostly just playing with the texture. Like that. I got an issue here that I want to clarify a little bit. You can hear the brush is just dry brushing now along that edge. And then we're getting close. I have a feeling we're going to be done here in a few minutes. Let me grab my white brush here. Just using this white brush, I might just take that pure white and just blend it into the blue along this edge that we've kind of been working on here. So I'm taking my brush this way and it's going to kind of pull that white into that blue. You can hear that tapping sound. That's my panel that I'm working on here. And I'm just going to lift that white up into that really pretty blue color. Just like that. I think we're going to call that good too now. So now you're seeing this is starting to take more of a finished look here. If you stand back, you can start to see that there's not a lot we can improve on it right now. In fact, I think we're just going to call that good. Sometimes I'll finish a piece and then I'll come back. I'll leave it alone for a week or so, and then I'll take a look at it and see if there's anything I want to fix on it. I'll put it on the rack. I have a drying rack. And then I'll come back and just look at it and say, you know what, this is done. For now, I'm going to sign it though. Let me find my signing brush. I don't like keep a lot of small brushes around. I figure the bigger the brush, the better. Let me find a decent brush over here. I don't like small brushes. I think they're pretty much useless. Well, let's grab this brush, and we're going to use this red color to sign with today. So let's grab a little bit of that alizarin crimson right there. Load this brush right up. We're going to come right here to this corner. It's a little bigger than I usually do, but kind of off to the side here. So that's done for now. So if you want to just pan back for a second, Ollie. See, this is the sketch that we started out with right here, right? Simple sketch. Some black India ink. The paper would have been where the white is in the mountain. And we just kind of left that really nice, really funky dark cloud up there. If I had a bigger panel, I would have probably brought some light into the back of that cloud. But, you know, you just have to be sort of flexible when it comes to those kind of things. And you can't expect this to be exactly like this. What I do like is this nice rich red line here, almost like a berry field or something. I'm happy with this blue color along here. I'm glad we added this log because as a composition, it was just basically line, line, line. By adding this log, we've sort of brought a wedge in from the side to keep the eye feeling like it's working around an actual composition. And then by bringing these trees on the side here, you sort of added to that dimension as well, added some structure to the side. The worst thing is if someone's eye just falls off the edge of the panel on either side. You want people to remain captured in that composition. What's interesting is this didn't end up starting out in the sketch. Do you see? So once at a certain point, you have to decide, I love my sketch, but I want to finish an actual oil painting. I'm going to have to deviate from the sketch. I'm going to have to play with the composition a little bit. So I'm happy with this. If you have any questions, you can message me on my Instagram account, dbarterarthouse. If you have any questions or comments, I don't know what we're going to do next. You could also message me to see if you have any suggestions. Maybe we can work on a sculpture next time. See, this is what I mean by bracket and take a look at it later, because I just remembered I wanted to fix that line right there. But yeah, so anyways, I hope you've enjoyed the lesson. When you're working on an oil painting, there's no substitute. If you want to back up for a second, there's no substitute for time at the easel. Just take panel after panel and, you know, cut masonite panels up. That's what I did when I was first starting out. Cut up masonite panels. You can get them at Home Depot or Lowe's. You know, the 1/4-inch masonite. Cut it up into little 24 by 30s or 16 by 24s. What I do is I shellac them, which is like a sealer, and then I start layering the oils right on that. And if you have 10 panels, get 10 panels ready. Get them all ready so that you can just grab a panel and start painting. When that one's set it aside. Start cycling through the panels. The worst thing to do is have one panel to play with, because what will happen is you hyper focus on that one panel. You'll hyper focus on it, and it's not a good way. You want to start getting a system of working through panels. If you look at my rack over here, I've got a portrait I'm working on here. I've got another Katahdin piece down here. This rack will usually be filled. I just emptied it and brought like 5 paintings downstairs. But as you can see, I've got panels ready to go right here, see? I've already got the underpaint on them. If I feel inspired, they're all ready to go. I can just grab them and start painting. I got my brushes ready. I've got all my oils all ready to go. I don't ever want to run out of a color, so I just have them all ready. Over here, I've got my painting station. I've got a nice little easel area. It's a little sloppy, but that's okay. I've got my pre-mixed colors here, which I like to use for the first layer. It's real easy when you have loose paint and pre-mixed with the turpentine, the linseed oil, and the Damar varnish. And you can just go start working. So that's that. Thank you for watching the show. We'll start with something next week. Maybe you can suggest some things at my Instagram. You can message me at the Barter Art House. Until then, take care. Thanks.